Alright guys, it's time to talk about them. The Lost Treasure event patch notes are here, they're official. Let's get reading them right now, and I can tell you already there are some big changes coming with the Armed and Dangerous limited time mode. I'm actually excited about this. So in this LTM, only shotguns and snipers are allowed. It's like the old one, but they have battle armor, like the battle armor event. They put in the evolutionary armor, the Evo shields, which is a lot of fun, I think. But most important is going to be these mobile respawn beacons. This is something that'll be interesting. It might change the game a lot. So it says, need to respawn on the go, use the new mobile respawn beacons. In the Armed and Dangerous LTM, players will start the match with one in their inventory, and then in the inventory screen, deploy it anywhere on the map and save your fallen teammates. But beware, calling in a respawn beacon takes time, giving your enemies time to find you, take you out, and use that beacon you just deployed. So the respawn beacon, you can see it right here. It is actually a blue item. So when it's put in the game, and they have said that it will be in the game after this patch is over, after this collection event is over, it'll be in the game in the loot pool, and it is a blue item. So like an ultimate accelerant, they'll be about as common as ultimate accelerants, and it will lead to some interesting situations. Maybe holding on to them at the very end. Maybe you're at the end of a ranked game and there's one ring left or 2 rings left, and there's no respawn beacons left that are normally in the map. You might have one and it might turn the tide of the battle, which is kind of exciting. Now we'll move down here to the Crypto Town Takeover. This is pretty cool. So you can see it's this big crypto looking building. It's green and white. There's a way to enter from the top. There's ways to enter from the ground level. And then apparently there's a tunnel underneath that can take you up into the map room. And this building is really cool. I'm not gonna read the description or anything, but inside, if you remember on the trailer, you could see there's TVs. It tells you how many people are around you in the general vicinity. And what's really cool is there's some sort of interaction you can do, and it tells you the position of every player on Kings Canyon. But every player is alerted that you just used the button. So it's pretty interesting. It's very, very far away. It's tucked in the right corner of the map, as it probably should be, because this is some powerful information and there should be some risk associated with getting it. Then we'll scroll down a little further here. This is Mirage's Heirloom, Mirage's trophy. This is kind of cool. They put the the best character in a battle royale thing on it. Their little events that remember the awards that they won in December. For best battle royale game or best multiplayer game of the year. Probably a little nod to themselves with this trophy here. I like that, with some humor. If we scroll down here, this is the meat of the whole patch notes right here. Huge legend updates, starting with Lifeline. Her passive is Combat Revive, now replaces Combat Medic. So deploy Doc to revive teammates, as we suggested might happen in our previous video. Doc will deploy a shield and revive Lifeline's teammate, leaving Lifeline free to defend or revive someone else. And this completely replaces Lifeline's fast healing abilities, which is pretty interesting. No more fast heals for Lifeline. A lot of people like to use Lifeline just because they can get back in the fight quicker. Not exactly going to be the case anymore. But as you can see with her tactical, the Lifeline tactical cooldown is decreased to 45 seconds, so you'll still be able to heal a little bit faster just because you're deploying your health drone more often. Her ultimate is now getting more items, which is really nice. There's still going to be one side that has a guaranteed, purple option, purple inventory spot, or purple armor, purple backpack, helmet, knockdown shield, all that kind of stuff. But now there will also be 3 more small healing items, so you might have, a cell on the top and 2 things of syringes, or 2 cells and a syringe, that kind of thing. And a care package will contain 2 more attachments when it decides to spawn said attachments. So pretty interesting. I think Lifeline players might be happy about this in the end. I think they'll miss fast heals for a little while, but I don't think it'll be the end of the world for them. They're a little bit better of a team legend now, and so it'll be interesting to see how this goes. All right, Octane. We speculated about Octane, and I think Octane's pretty interesting here. I don't know if it really moves him up to the very top of the legend leaderboard, but you can see here, upon activation for his tactical, Stim will remove movement impairing effects. That means he's now immune to the slowing from bullets, he's immune to the slowing from gas, he's immune to the slowing from arc stars, from crypto EMPs, from Wattson fences, and Stim sprinting speed is increased by 10%, so Octane's officially fast. I think Octane is now the fastest character in the game, no doubt. He's immune to, well, as long as he uses Stim, he's immune to movement impairing effects, so this is what Octane needed to be, high speed daredevil. And he'll now be a higher flying daredevil than he already was, because his ultimate now gives you the option to double jump in midair, and players can change direction from the double jump. So 2 really exciting things. I've seen lots of fan, what we talked about on Reddit, lots of fan interactions, fan posts saying Octane should have a double jump. Well, here it is. So good work if you're posting on Reddit, you got what you were asking for. Revenant, now this is a character that also a lot of people thought needed buffs, and he does get a buff. His tactical now cancels Pathfinder mid-grapple, so I guess that means before he's taken off, so if his grapple is going to attach to something, the Revenant silence will take that grapple away, but if he's already in the air, being launched in the air, I don't know how that's going to really matter that much, because Pathfinder's already moving in the air, but we'll see. Maybe you can hit Pathfinder out of the air and he'll just go straight up, or he'll just fall down to the ground or something. And it stops Wraith mid-phase walk attempt. So if you could hit Wraith in the middle of the void, that'd be kind of rough, but now if you hit Wraith before she uses it, she can't use it anymore. I don't think that one is that big of a deal, but it's pretty interesting. Okay, well now prevent Mirage's Cloak Revive, Mirage's Decoy Control Activation, and Lifeline's Combat Revive. So now the silence is getting rid of some passives too, and that's pretty interesting. I think Revenant players are going to be happy about that, especially the Mirage Cloak Revive and the Lifeline Revive. Those 2 are quite annoying. Lifeline's Combat Revive will be very important because she'll be able to fight you. She won't be able to do that anymore. And Mirage's Cloak Revive, he's one of the best revivers in the game now that he's almost completely invisible. So being able to expose him on the ground, helping out his teammate, that's big time for Revenant players. Crypto here, his tactical deploying hack, which is Crypto's drone, now takes 1.5 seconds, so he gets the drone out a little bit faster. I think that's good. Spend less time in that little animation getting him out. And his ultimate now disables Wattson's pylons. So now his EMP, I guess, does more damage. It's always said that it does damage to traps. Now it does more damage to traps. It used to not destroy Wattson's pylon in 1 EMP. Now it does. Very useful for Crypto as far as breaching. Now Loba, her tactical will no longer be intercepted by Wattson's interception pylon. I think that's good. As a player that's played a lot of Wattson and a lot of Loba, I know if you're on the same team, it can be really frustrating if your Loba's trying to get somewhere or get back into your building and they can't because of a Wattson pylon. And that makes sense to me because Wattson's interception pylon is supposed to stop ordinances, it's supposed to stop attacks, not really supposed to stop a bracelet. So I think that's smart. I don't think that interaction should have ever been in the game, but now we see it's out. Her ultimate will now only pick up 1 stack of ammo, and that's a change from 1 stack plus the amount that was required to fill whatever partial stack you had in your inventory, which is a bummer. I mean, sometimes you could pick up 119 light ammo if you played your cards right, which was really nice. And now ultimate accelerants give 20% charge, up from 17.5. So I actually have never experienced that before. I didn't actually know that she got 17.5 from an ultimate accelerant. That's interesting. That's news to me, but I don't know if it'll matter that much in combat. Mirage, so his tactical, you can now hold the tactical button and release to auto-control decoys, and decoys will now say lines when shot. That can be pretty humorous, but I think that holding the tactical button is a lot better instead of having to, if you're playing on Xbox, you press LB and then you press a button on your controller and the directional pad. I think that holding the tactical button will make it a lot easier for Mirage players to control their characters a little quicker. His passive, when cloaked, Mirage's hollow emitters will be visible to players that are less than 5 meters away. Okay, so that basically means he's no longer going to be completely invisible, which I think is good because his invisible revive, as we discussed just a couple minutes ago, that's really, really strong. And his skydive will now create decoys for the entire squad when skydiving when it's still diving with your squad. So that's interesting. If you're jumping somewhere hot and you're a Mirage, you could send out 2 decoys and you could look like 9 players are going to this one spot. You might really scare off some opponents. I think that actually has some viability in ranked if you're really trying to secure, say you really, really like landing in Capacitor or the Labs or the Cage. You can send what looks like 2 extra teams there and maybe scare off some opponents, which I think is a good idea. Gibraltar's fast heal, granted inside the dome shield, slowed down, so it was 25% faster, now it's 15% faster. I think that's a good idea. I think that's pretty balanced. You could pop some shield cells in there really fast under his dome. I think that's good, brings Gibraltar down to the pack a little bit. And Caustic's, enemies can cancel Caustic's barrel by shooting it before it is fully inflated. That's really nice. I know a lot of times Caustic barrels would always be growing next to my Wattson fences and they'd be inside the fence and you couldn't shoot the bottom of the barrel before the fence set it off. So this is nice now. If you shoot it and you can shoot it anywhere on the barrel and it'll deflate. So it won't inflate, it won't go off. That's really nice for people trying to stop a caustic push. Now Wattson, she got some big changes, and this kind of hurts if you're Wattson, but we'll see how it pans out. So, the intent of these changes is to create openings where enemies can breach Wattson positions. It is still possible for Wattson players to hold a position with a trophy indefinitely, but that should come at the cost of using ultimate accelerants. So, grab those big backpack Wattson players, including myself. You're going to be carrying a lot of ultimate accelerants if you're trying to camp. So Wattson's pylons now last for 90 seconds, but Wattson can now have up to 3 pylons out at a time. So it's a little bit of a throwback to Season 2. She used to have 3 permanent pylons. Now she can have 3 pylons that are up to 90 seconds, which isn't too bad. When I first heard about this nerf, I thought it was just 90 seconds for 1 pylon, it dies and that's it. And that's pretty tough, but I think that having 3 pylons out at a time kind of balances that out. I think that's useful. And Wattson can stack 2 ultimate accelerants per inventory slot. I think that's helpful. You know, she's going to be needing more ultimate accelerants now. Ultimate accelerants might be something you need to grab out of a Loba Black Market Boutique Ultimate. So as you can see, they're trying to help Wattson out a little bit. And one thing that you've been noticing in these patches is if they try to take something away from a character, they're sometimes also trying to add something back. So you can see Wattson's pylon is an infinite, but she can have 3 of them now. And Wattson needs to use more ultimate accelerants, but she can stack 2 of them now. So I think they're trying to not just nerf characters into the ground, which I think is important. And you're going to see it again here with Wraith. So increasing Wraith's tactical cooldown has proven to be ineffective at curbing her exceedingly high win rate and kill rate. As most people know, Wraith is one of the best legends in combat. She's small, she's fast, she can get out of trouble. So they've been trying to find a way to bring her a little back down to the rest of the pack. And as you can see here, they've updated Phase Walk. So Phase Walk now takes 1.25 seconds to enable. It was 0.4 seconds. And during this time, Wraith will receive a 20% move slow. So this does not affect Phase Walk while placing a portal. And while in Phase Walk, Wraith now gets a 30% speed boost. So think of this kind of like the Bloodhound buff that Bloodhound got earlier. He tapped that bracelet, it would shoot out a really small field of vision. It wasn't that helpful. They changed it so now tapping his bracelet where he can see and scan further. The bracelet tapping takes longer to activate, but his field of vision increased a lot. Think of this kind of like how Wraith is. It takes longer to activate, but you're also longer inside the void, which I think is really useful, and I kind of like that. Now, Phase Walk lasts 4 seconds, down from 3. You get a little bit of a speed boost, which can help when you're portaling. And the Phase Tunnel, it decreased the distance for portal placement by 25%. Now you can't have these super long Wraith portals, trying to make it a little more, compact. You can't get her really far. They're probably trying to separate Wraith and Pathfinder in that regard. And then the Phase Tunnel, as we described, decreased distance for portal placement by 25%. We already read that part. Now, weapons and loot. Ziplines. A cooldown will be applied to re-grabbing ziplines without touching the ground. The cooldown will increase with each time a player disconnects and re-grabs the zipline. The cooldown will reset when the player touches the ground. This is interesting, and this will come up a lot in pro play. So in pro play, you would sometimes see players send a zipline up really high on this really, really tiny last circle, and they would just jump up and down on the zipline over and over and over again. And it's something that was pretty effective and would help people get some more placements, or some higher placement. Not anymore. It looks like you might be able to do that a little bit, and then your increased cooldown time for re-grabbing the zipline eventually is going to catch up to you, and you won't be able to grab it anymore. I think that's pretty useful. I think that's pretty interesting, and I don't think it's really a nerf to Pathfinder. It's not really a nerf to anything. It's just a nerf to the hiding up in the air strategy, which I think is good. That's not the intent of the game. The Havoc Rifle greatly increased horizontal recoil in the initial shots of a burst and decreased the magazine size from 32 to 28. I know a lot of people were asking for that. That's something that's really important. The Havoc is an absolute laser beam at mid-range, so I think it's good that they're increasing the horizontal recoil, and the decreasing the magazine size from 32 to 28, also probably useful, simply because that gun can deal a ton of damage. The Sentinel, the rechamber time has been decreased from 1.75 seconds to 1.6 seconds, and the energized duration has increased from 90 to 120. I don't know if that's 90 seconds, I think it is, but Sentinel getting a buff. Now, it might be a little more worth your time to charge that Sentinel with those shield cells. Something I like doing in public games, and ranked lobbies not as much because those shield cells are a little more valuable, but it is pretty interesting and I think it might be very useful. You see some quality of life updates here. Teammates can now ping a friendly caustic trap, a new health bar for when users are in Revenant shadow form. Map rotation times are now even between King's Canyon and World's Edge, that's nice. And then some bug fixes. You can scroll through these slowly. I don't know if I want to read, I'm not gonna read all these. There's a lot going on here. So you guys can read through the bug fixes. If there's a certain legend that you're really interested in, you can go ahead and pause it, read it while you're there, and we'll just scroll all the way down through here, and now that's the end. So that is the patch notes. As you guys know, there is crossplay coming as well. Apex Legends is now available on Steam, which is exciting. You can choose between Origin or Steam. Apex Legends is coming to the Switch, and crossplay will be coming in the fall. So you PlayStation players that want to play with your PC friends who want to play with their PlayStation friends, and if you want to become the first Nintendo Switch Apex Predator, now's your chance. All of these options are coming and they're available to you. Guys, thank you so much for watching to the end. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like, comment down below what you're most excited about. Please subscribe, and we'll see you all tomorrow.